Hey, what's going on, guys? I wanted to do a quick video about how I put together the personal brand strategist persona and kind of how I developed the content strategy around it. It's not fully fleshed out in the direction I have it fully going, but from a content piece, it fits. So I'm going to be like eyeballing back and forth to kind of just replicate what I did so you guys can kind of see it, because right now mine's it's just a lot. So I don't want to get too ahead of it. But you can see right here, I started out with you're a personal brand strategist. You assist in the growth of personal brands involving marketing, sales, and social media. Kept it very straightforward. And it lists out what you're going to need to give it in a sense, and then what you're going to have to do. All right. So what I want to do is I'm going to take the next step. So what we're going to do is we're going to just give it a bit of a persona of the person that it is going to be building a brand for. So we're going to do describe a persona for a sales coach who has been in sales for over a decade. I'm going to give it a little bit more details here. Let's do this. Understand psychology, a bit of digital marketing. He writes and currently coaches over a dozen people in sales. So we're just going to give it that. We're not even going to name it at this point because I just want to keep it pretty general. And right now it's going to write out the persona. All right. Apparently Jake's got a nickname of the sales maestro. So we'll kind of let this go. As you can see, it's going to give you a background. It's going to give you an understanding of like who this person is. You can give it a bit of an age and all that kind of stuff if you want, and it'll definitely write it out. You can see it gets a little bit carried away as a published author because I mentioned that he's a writer. Let's let this build. And then we're going to move right into the next stage where we're going to kind of give it the ability to give us some demographics and understand some things, okay? So you can see it's giving you the published author, and that's not English, to unlock their full potential through psychology-driven things. He's got core values, key strengths, and it kind of gives you a little bit of a breakdown of the target audience, right? Target audience includes sales professionals at various stages of their careers, ranging from entry-level to seasoned veterans. He also appeals to small business owners and entrepreneurs looking to improve their sales and marketing strategy. It's beautiful, right? It's still going. Like, this is just unbelievable. You can see right here, this is going to be the piece that we're really going to be branching out on. It's already laying it out for us in a sense of where we're going to be taking it. Okay, so now let's have it write out the demographic. And now it's going to really dive in. It's going to give you like the age range. It's going to give you like what kind of line of work they're in, what their education might be, all kinds of stuff like that. So let's let this kind of load in here real quick. And then after this, we're going to have it break down a bit more in the content direction. So right now it's giving us demographics. If you needed to dig a little bit more, you can give it more tidbits. So one of the things I did, with my brand that I'm building out is I added a little bit more that it kind of missed. And then it went back and just rehashed this entire thing that we're looking at right here. All right, next, this is where we're going to get diving into the fun stuff here. All right, let's start creating content ideas for Jake. Let's see if it mimics. So far it is. What it's going to do, if it does what it did for my other one, is it's going to give us a view of some potential blog posts. Then it's going to jump into some ebook options, some webinar options, some podcast options, some YouTube options, all kinds of stuff. It's really, really cool. And what's nice about this, as you guys know, is like you can then take this to the next level and start building out like a full-on content calendar for varying pieces of content to keep you a little bit more in line. Like, these titles are like really good. We got the podcast episodes from Rookie to Sales Pro, inspiring success stories and lessons learned, future sales, embracing tech and new sales techniques, LinkedIn articles. So I didn't even get LinkedIn articles. So it's kind of interesting as to like how it branches out into different areas. There's webinars and workshops. And like you can see, this is getting fairly long. So one of the things I definitely recommend here is I created a sheet on the side for the content pieces, and I'm copying and pasting it over, because you want to keep your prompts in case, you guys have heard, like in case ChatGPT just takes a dookie. And you want to be a bit cautious that you don't lose your stuff. And replicating this is pretty straightforward, but you don't want to lose your titles, right? So copying and pasting these over into a spreadsheet is a good way to keep it. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to have it focus initially on the blog post. So let's do that. Let's focus on blog posts. Please list out written posts and add 10 more. So what I'm telling it right here is I want it to keep these, which it should, and then give me more. Every time it's the sales maestro. Let's see if you kept it. You'll see, right? Hard sales psychology, hard sales psychology. So it's keeping the first 4, and then it should give us an additional handful here of a 10 additional. So as this is writing this, what I want to do is I kind of want to zoom in on a post. All right, so which one stands out to us? Or me in this case, because there's no one else here. Let's take a look at, oh, this is always good. It's kind of hard though when we're in a virtual world. You only get to see their face. Let's do, well, you know what? We'll start with one for sure. So this should stop. Yeah, there we go. So give us 10 more. We're sitting at 14. You can see, I think psychology persuasion plays heavily into sales, so I think it's a good realm of content for any sales professional to really be writing about. So now we're going to tell it to let's expand on one, and it's going to know and reference the first piece here. Right? How understanding human behavior. Yep. And it's going to start writing the post for us. And usually when you get an initial article, it kind of keeps it pretty straightforward and simple. It's like very, 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 very simple, meaning that there's only going to be like a few lines. Yep. Principle of reciprocity. Yep. Building rapport, obviously super important. I'm curious to see how many it's going to give us, because I've noticed it really depends the article. Sometimes it gives you 10, sometimes it gives you 5, and I've seen 6 and 8 as well through the first few articles. They definitely really like, it kind of defaults to like a listicle view. And one thing to keep in mind here is, I'm just putting this out there and keeping it pretty straightforward, is you can have it rewrite, right? So what I mean by that is, like, you can give it different tones and have it different formats. So maybe if you want to go in the ADA format or like a sales letter format, you can have it rewrite all of this. But we're going to keep this straightforward just for this explanation. And what I'm going to tell it to do once this is done is I'm going to give it something simple to do, just so you guys know that you guys can do this. And then we're going to take it to the next step, which is going to be fleshing out some video and like TikTok stuff when it comes to this. So you can see right here, give us 7. Now, I'm not going to do this here, but what you can write, just for sake, is you can say expand on this post in more depth. Take each point and write more. And what it'll do is it'll take each of these and add on quite a bit more. So I'm going to leave that out for now and just kind of leave this here just for the sake of time. And let's go into the next section. What we want to do is, let's get some video. Would be 3 good TikTok/real topics to discuss from this article. And it's only going to give us 3. It's going to give us the content of each piece. You can ask it again to give you more depth and kind of give you a script for each of these too if you really wanted to. But I'm not going to go that far in this piece. What's next is I'm going to actually get some more social media. So now list out a few tweets that would be engaging from this post. And I think that's going to be it right there for that one. And now we're going to do some tweets. And then we're going to get a YouTube video idea. So obviously you can go in any direction here, but this gives you a nice little thing. Is there a solid YouTube piece of content in this post? We'll leave that here. That'll be our next one. And you'll see right here, we're building up like just a series of content pieces that we could then use for this blog post, which is huge because now every single post that you have, you can create it. Say you release it weekly, which this is going to put together for us. You then have a series of like when you can post other stuff, reminding people about your posts or just talking about the topic that you wrote about and so on. Like it's even got us trying to link here because it's the hashtags. All right, now is there a solid YouTube piece? Of course there is. Mastering Sales Psychology. So he's going to take the blog post. And it's even going to give us a series. Now that we have our tweets, our reels, you can get Instagram posts if you want. You have your TikToks. You have a potential YouTube video. You have the blog post itself. We already have a nice stock for a week's worth of content. And depending how hyper you want to go, you can obviously do this for more. But next, what we're going to do is we're going to take it to the level of building out a content calendar. So we're going to do perfect. Let's build out a content calendar now for Jake. Like this is just, it's so ridiculous. Like, it's just insane. Like there's nothing here. I mean, obviously I'm not sitting here analyzing each piece, but each piece is usable. Sure, you might want to make a few tweaks, but like every single piece is on point. It's in like define cognitive dissonance and its impact on decision making. Like this is a fascinating topic to discuss in sales because it definitely impacts people. Just to give background, like I am in sales, I'm a manager, so I completely understand how this would impact people. So always happy to talk about it. Let's see, let's build out a content calendar, shall we? And now what's going to do is it should take us to like a weekly view of a month. Starting with our first piece, which we've already fleshed out. It's pretty much doing, yep. So this is, it's what's interesting here is if I look at mine, it doesn't really technically give you like a day-by-day thing. It just says week 1 and summarizes it, but you could see like it's giving us a daily view of just week 1. So this is actually going a little bit more in depth. So let's see, 5 digital marketing strategies every sales professional should know. So that should be the 5th one, right? Or the 2nd one? Yep, you see it knows the reference back. Thing to note while this fills out, it may forget. And what I mean by that, it may forget the order of what we wrote about. So you might go and have it asked to like push through certain things and it might not be ready to do it. So you need to remind it. It might go to a different topic or a different post in your list. You need to go, no, this was not number 2. This is the topic of number 2. And it'll just apologize because, it's human. And then build it out for us. So you can see here, it's going. It's just going. This is actually a lot more detail than I even got in my original post. I actually like the original one that I got a little bit more in that because it's a little bit more condensed. But the premise of what it's doing here, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday, why not say it out of order, is it's in line with what it told me to do before. It's giving me daily what to do, when to post a blog, when to tweet, when to whatever it may do. And you'll see it's still going. It's taking each piece in order. So here's navigating sales strategies, returning it to a no and to yes. So this should be the 4th post. Right? Yep. And like it just gave us a month. So you'll notice it kind of peaked here. So when you run into this, just tell it to keep going. This way you don't. It'll literally just continue. I don't know what the actual limit is on a thing here. I forget off the top of my head. But it'll break it down as you can see, and then it'll just keep going. I don't know. It's going into week 5. This is just insane. Because it was originally only going to do a month, so I guess maybe week 5 might be the last piece. Let's see what happens. So the next step, once it's done with this content calendar, which we've done in how long is this? Not even 15 minutes. You can then have it break out each thing here and have it write the pieces for you. All right. So one of the things I was doing is like, once it gets done, is I'll tell it to, okay, write out weeks 2 content. And it remembers that we went through the blog post, the TikTok Reels, the YouTube, and so on. So let's see if we can get it to do here. Can you build out the content for week 2 like we did for week 1? So let's make sure that is the right one. We'll go to week 2. Week 1, week 2 right here. 5 digital marketing strategies every sales professional should know. So it's repeating what we just did. So we're gonna stop it here. Wait, hold on. I lied. It's taking a different approach. This is looking at week 2 and it's giving us more detail, as you can see right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to give it a little bit more of a directive to make sure it stays in line with what we did before. So you can see it's still giving us like topics and things like that, but it didn't write out the blog post. And it didn't give us like the actual tweets, which what's nice here is it knows what it's doing. You can see it's following along, so you can coach it to go in the direction that you want it to go and just remind it, and it'll come in and do it for you. Look, now we got podcasts in here too, which is great. Okay. Please, well, I like being polite with my AI. Write out the blog article for week 2. Okay, so now again, if this isn't as detailed as you want it, you can always tell it to write it more in depth. If you need it to flesh out more of these, you can do a rinse of what I did for week 1, in which case it can do the tweets, the TikToks and Reels, and so on. It'll do that once it learns it. This one's just taking a little bit longer to learn. Like if I tell it to write out in my other one, build out content for week 2 like we did for week 1, it goes into the blog post, then it goes right into the tweets, and it just gives me a nice little series of pieces. So in a nutshell, I think you guys understand where I'm going. Just don't hesitate to like correct the AI so it doesn't go off on a bit of a tangent. You want to make sure it's recalling exactly what you are teaching it to do. All right. So this is obviously awesome. Don't forget, load your stuff into a spreadsheet. And obviously, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask.